Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm Peter Lavelle. Well, George, the Senate Republicans have come out with a report on Hunter Biden and his relationship with Burisma in Ukraine. And prior to us convening here, of course, I did a quick Google News check, typed in Hunter Biden. And no surprise there, George, it's completely partisan in how it's being reported. I mean, really right down the middle here. Nothing to see here. Old news, fake conspiracy. And then, of course, you have the Fox Newses of the world throwing in prostitution, pimping, sex trade, a wire from the wife of the ex-mayor of Moscow for what, $3.5 million? Of course. But you know what surprises me the most is that for the left, it's, well, this is business as usual. That's what annoys me. Yeah, you're right. It is business as usual. That's how things are done. Now, I think it's fair to say in our partisan environment, if Trump picks his nose in public, they call for impeachment. Okay, I mean, the behavior of Hunter Biden is deplorable, and it's very much in line with the children of the political elites, okay, literally getting away with anything and everything here. And you have to feel sorry for that kind of degradation. I do, because I think it's a sign of the times. But it's the hypocrisy of it all is what really disturbs me.
Right. The hypocrisy is quite loathsome. When you think of what really went on during that time, the Obama administration that engineered the coup in Ukraine, the overthrow of the legally elected government, and then immediately, and we were talking about within weeks, creatures like Hunter Biden swooped in,
carpetbagger,
not in order to invest money in Ukraine, but to take money out of Ukraine. This $1 million a year that he was making from Burisma, that is Ukrainian money that was lining the pocket of somebody who was basically a rich, privileged, no goodnik in the United States. So it was that these creatures that came in as a result of the Obama-Biden coup were actually robbing Ukraine blind, much as an earlier generation was robbing Russia blind. Again, they weren't bringing in investment, they weren't bringing in foreign capital, which was the very idea, and they were actually extracting money out of these countries. So this was what Hunter Biden was doing. So the way the media covering it, or the liberal media, oh, right, nothing illegal here, nothing. Well, I don't know. I mean, this has to be, your lawyers have to look at it, prosecutors will have to look at whether it is illegal or not. We're not in any position to judge. But it is absolutely disgusting that, the son of the vice president moves in and starts stealing like mad from a country that's already one of the poorest in Europe.
And also this was all done under the pretext of fighting corruption, remember? Masha, Ambassador Masha. Okay.
That's exactly right. And that's what's also striking about this report, because you realize how fraudulent the American claims that we were fighting corruption in Ukraine. It's clear they weren't doing anything. I mean, there's this one guy, this George Kent, we remember him from the impeachment saga, who was kind of writing these memos saying, well, this looks bad. It smells rather bad. No one was paying any attention. Victoria Nuland said, well, he was an underling, and it was way down somewhere in his email. I didn't really pay attention because I'm far too important, and I got too many things on my mind to pay too much attention to this sort of thing. That's it. You were fighting corruption, and this person just tells you that this doesn't look good, and no one in the Obama administration bothered with it. Shows how absolutely fraudulent this claim that they were fighting corruption is.
And they can't make the claim they didn't know that Burisma was dirty, because even before the illegal overthrow of the government in February 2014, the European Union already had them on a watch list saying these guys are dirty. You got to stay away from them. Okay, and you can't say you didn't know. All right, and also, why do they bring these people on board? Well, of course, well, they wanted to clean their money, and they needed useful idiots to be able to get them access to Western institutions and markets so they could clean their dirty money. And you have the son of the vice president, with no experience in the energy field, no experience in Ukraine, as far as I know, no experience in investing. And then he seals that deal, and he gets on his father's airplane to go to China and do basically the same thing over again with just larger sums of money. Again, I really want to stress here that, for a lot of people in Washington, this is how things work. Okay. So none of them have the right to say that the other guy, that they have some kind of virtue when it comes to politics here. I think you remember as well how I do is that the first trip that Joe Biden made to Ukraine after the coup is that he sat at the head of the table of the Ukrainian government, like he was a viceroy or something like. And that's there, but that was the attitude they had. That we have won this here, okay. And we also have to make it clear that Hunter Biden wasn't alone, that they're the children of others involved in Ukraine. I can remember I was on the Jimmy Dore show, and I can remember very clearly saying, the Russians have had to deal with the Ukrainians for centuries. And our viewers probably don't know, but part of what was going on in Ukraine before the coup is that Russia had agreed to a $15 billion aid package / loan. They were going to have to pay it back. And the Russians had dealt with the Ukrainians for so long. They made that deal bulletproof. I mean, really, and it would be adjudicated in a Western capital if there was a breakdown in how because I think $5 billion of it was released. Okay, the first tranche. Okay, and the Ukrainians lost the case because it was bulletproof because the Americans went in there blind, or they should have known better. It's one of the most corrupt places on the planet, and they get into bed with these people here, and they're not going to get dirty. Yes, they're going to get very, very dirty. And we also know from this report that Secretary of State John Kerry claimed that he knew nothing about it. Well, he lied. Apparently, he lied about that.
That's it. That's exactly right. He lied about that, as was always obvious. They lied. The simpering, whimpering Masha, who again we remember the impeachment hearings, clearly knew all about Burisma, even though she pretended when she was testifying during the impeachment deposition, she didn't know anything. Now, that was all. It was all. She was out of the loop. She knew about. We know he was investigating Burisma, and we know that the investigation was closed in the latter days of the Obama administration. In other words, they made sure, the Obama people, that this investigation of Burisma would be closed, so there'd be no legal jeopardy whatsoever to Hunter Biden. So, of course, Biden was the whole thing about, well, he wanted this prosecutor fired because Biden was terribly, frightfully, passionately upset about corruption. Of course he wasn't. Biden couldn't care less about corruption. And there's a pattern of this sleaze that follows Biden. His family members, not just his son, but his brothers, all get rich through Biden's connections. That's how he operates. That's what he does. He goes to a country, and then his family starts doing business in that country. So, of course, Biden wanted that prosecutor fired because he was investigating Burisma. And, it is sleazy. And, the argument that, there's no legal jeopardy here. Well, that shouldn't really be the measure.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember let's go back to the impeachment hearings. I don't want to misspeak, so I'm not going to mention the person. But one of the witnesses, one of the star witnesses for impeachment, was asked if it was a woman, it might have been Fiona Hill, asked if she was aware of that video where Biden boastfully said, if the prosecutor isn't fired, you have 6 hours, you won't get the $1 billion loan that the United States, and the witness, the witness said she hadn't heard of it, which again, it was all over the news. I mean, again, you have to wonder, and I'm not a lawyer, you're not a lawyer, but we're keen observers of this here. A lot of people perjured themselves during that inquiry, during that testimony, but General Flynn, according to the FBI, didn't lie. Okay. Yep. I mean, you see what I'm getting at here. I mean, it really is one level of justice for some and a different level for others here. Okay. I mean, if Donald Trump Jr. had done anything remotely similar to what this report has to say, I mean, what would happen. Yeah. Okay. And another thing here, and it's something that I've noticed over and over again. The way it's being covered here, this happens regularly. Fox News, for example, will go into the weeds and they will look at things that the report has to say. They will point it out. But the liberal media, CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, they will just say, oh, nothing to see here. And what they do is they gift it to Fox. So it's a Fox story. It's a Fox story. So it must be a conspiracy. See how that works? They do that intentionally, okay? They intentionally don't cover a story or undercover a story and just say, oh, but that's a Fox story.
That's it. That's it. And in this case, and it's also Russian disinformation. So anything at all that is unflattering about Biden, Hunter, his relationship to Ukraine. Oh, this is Russian disinformation. The Republicans are trading in Russian disinformation. But now, they never actually explain in what way is this disinformation. What part of it is actually incorrect? What's wrong here? No. All you have to say Russian disinformation, and then that's it. Or you have the news stories that say the discredited allegations about Hunter Biden. These claims have been debunked. Really, they've discredited. They've been debunked. And that's how the news stories are presented. It's all been debunked. The only people who talk about them are Fox and these right-wing conspiracy theory nuts. And Biden plays his role, which is he gets very ostentatiously angry when anyone raises it, any reporter raises it. Come on, man. Hey, let's take it outside. You were saying something about my son. And then the reporter meekly backs away. I mean, imagine anybody else saying, hey, what are you talking about my son? I get it. You got to want a fistful in your teeth.
Let's give an example. There was a server in the Trump Tower that apparently was pinged by Russia's Alpha Bank. Okay. Oh my God. How many news cycles did that go through? How many? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And there is, the whole of that, we talked about this before, the entirety of that Russia conspiracy theory, there is nothing to it. No one has been able to present one shred of evidence that there was any kind of collusion between the Russian government and the Trump campaign in any shape or form during that campaign. And it's still, the media are playing this. Anytime, any day, they're still, Russia is really interfering in this election, and they're doing it on behalf of Trump.
Yeah, because
where's the evidence? Well, this is CIA briefing, top secret CIA briefing.
Because Trump could be open to blackmail, okay? But, I mean, if you're taking money from oligarchs in Russia and in Ukraine, from people affiliated with the Communist Party of China and the People's Liberation Army, you're not open to blackmail, okay? Everybody knows that, right? Okay, I mean, just a double stand-up, and you're absolutely right, a title, the debunk charges against, I mean, they start out that way. That's how they start out.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. The Republicans are
We're going to keep watching the story. We'll see if it's going to go into the election cycle. I tend to doubt it because there are just too many other things people are talking about. If you like this kind of stuff on the Gaggle here, please like, share, and subscribe, and a whole lot more ahead. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Hang on.